What in the flip-flort did I just read? Hey guys, Johnny Reeds here. Wow, Brandon Sanderson really broke me there, didn't he? Well, one, I just want to say welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video. So this is a true, reaction, unplanned review of The Way of Kings. My mind was really blown here. And so I really hope that you enjoy that. I hope that, if you have any comments, please go into the comment section. I'd love to chat with you about it. Also, I have Instagram and Twitter. They're going to be in the video description below. So if you want to follow me there for more bookish content, please go follow me. Also, my Goodreads is down there as well. But anyways, I really enjoyed this book. Now, let's see if I can get my mind to focus here. Guys, this book is amazing. It's probably the best book that I've ever read. I completely am a loss for words. I know I'm late to the game reading The Way of Kings. But my word, this is probably the best book I have ever read. It's not just a book. This is a piece of art. The way that Brandon Sanderson writes his characters, the way he took time and nurtured and built up these characters is unlike anything I've ever read. And the prose with describing the setting, I mean, it felt like you were there. It felt like you were with these characters. And it probably has one of the most epic plots and kind of epic twists and reveals at the end that I didn't see coming. I usually can see when certain things are coming, and I didn't. First off, let's just talk about this masterpiece here. It's 1,000 pages. And that's a lot for a lot of people. A lot of people probably don't want to sit down and read 1,000 pages, but it's well worth it. Brandon Sanderson dives so much in to this world, describing the setting, and not just the Shattered Plains where most of this takes place. He's describing even the small buildings that each one of these characters live in and have their life in. And it's beautiful. It's written so beautifully. I mean, I really just can't explain the prose to you guys. It's very masterful. I've read Brandon Sanderson before, and he has not written anything like this of what I've read. And I mean, I know that Brandon I think he took over a decade writing this book. He had a manuscript, a draft written before he released Elantris, and then focused on Mistborn, and then finally got back to The Way of Kings, and then rewrote The Way of Kings. I mean, to take that time, even though he took a break, but to take that time and to love something so much, to rewrite or redevelop it, you can tell how much love and passion and care is in this book. Not just from the writing, but through the characters and the plot, and how we're getting to know each main character. And the thing is, like, we are seeing every main character grow in some sort of way. And what I mean by main character are those that get a point of view chapter. So those definitely grow. But to also see side characters grow, I've not really seen a lot of that. Where I can see someone who's kind of a recurring character grow throughout the book. There's a side character that hates one of our main characters in the beginning and then becomes one of his most loyal and trusted allies at the end. And I think the commentary on that, like the humanity of the fact that we can change, and also just like the description of humility and being able to humble yourself, and also to restore hope as well. There are several really deep themes in this book, and let's go through some of them. So I think one of the main themes here is toxic masculinity and how pride can be a downfall for us. Because two of our main characters are different than the rest of their society. They look to be honorable and to do the right thing and to humble themselves when they're wrong. And that is not something that is a norm in their society. In their society, you fight, you war, and the territories of this country that they're in, they don't fight together. And we're learning, and these characters are learning, that this is not a way to succeed in our war effort together. You can't fight a war separately against an enemy. You need to work together. And so I think that's also another theme here, is that humans aren't meant to be alone. We're meant to we're meant to work together, and we're meant to do good as well. Because that's a big push for the main characters, is that they're trying to remain honorable. They're trying to do what is right for their people, and what is not just best for their people, but for everyone else. They're not just thinking about themselves. These characters are very selfless and not selfish. And we do have another character that does have a selfish plot, but she grows. She grows so much from the beginning to the end. She gets stronger. And also, I think that having a plot and a theme where there's scholarly pursuit is something that we don't normally get to read. And that really allowed us to see more of the world, because the scholar did not take place where the war is on the Shattered Plains. Her storyline took place in Carbranth, which is a city that has a huge library, and she gets taken under the wing of like the daughter of the former king, and her scholarly pursuit is to find out what's going to happen. And you learn so much about this world and about the past through their pursuit, which then also affects those that are fighting in the Shattered Plains. And while they might not know that what they're doing is part of what the people in Carbranth are learning, they both go hand in hand. And another thing that I really love, this world is really big. It's pretty much like a Pangea type continent. It's called Roshar. And there's a few outlying islands, but Brandon Sanderson has broken this up into parts, and in between those parts are preludes, and that's where we really get to see that is where we get to see a lot of Roshar, other than the east, where Carbranth and the Shattered Plains are, where the Alethi are fighting the Parshendi. That this is where we follow just certain events that are kind of letting us know where this plot is going, and not necessarily in this book. A plot or an Easter egg for what's going to come in the future. And I really enjoyed that. It didn't necessarily affect anything here, but it will affect down the line. At least I'm assuming that it does. Like I said, I'm late to the game, so, don't spoil it for me in the comments. Don't spoil it for me in the comments. But we get to see what's happening over in the west and in the north, in the Pure Lake, and just tiny little snippets. And what I mean is, when I said earlier that Brandon Sanderson's prose is so beautiful and so descriptive, just those tiny little snippets, I can imagine and immerse myself even in between these 5 or 6 pages where this scene is taking place. And I just don't think I've read something that has gotten my attention like that. That it's gotten me so enthralled that I think at some points I'm part of the story. Not really, but I think a lot of you probably know what I mean. This book means a lot to a lot of people, and it is. And I know that the next one is supposed to be better than the first one. We'll get there, but this is a masterpiece. It is beautiful. The way that Brandon describes things is it's like each word, each phrase, each sentence is like a brushstroke on a Monet painting. That's how I would describe it. You can see the passion, the care, and the nurturing that he did to make sure that he was building a world for us to enjoy and for us to really visualize. Because this place doesn't exist. And it can be hard, even in written word, to fully convey the world that you're building. And he does it so effectively here. And his passion for these characters, they seem so real, and you get so emotionally attached to them because there's so much at stake, and you're just like, please don't let them die, don't let them die in this scene. Obviously, there's certain characters that are going to live because of the fact that there's more books, but even then, it's like, well, maybe at some point I actually thought that there was a main character where their backstory's in a future book, and I kind of was like, well, maybe he could possibly die in this one, and we just get to see more of him in the past, and that affects the future, which would be a cool plot point, but that didn't happen. And there are a lot of things in the end that I did not see coming. I mean, so many twists. At the end, my mind was literally blown. And then the monologue by Wit in the epilogue is very profound, talking about humanity and how we praise one another, how we gift one another when there's invention or innovation, discovery or research involved. And the first person who discovers this, and obviously it's been discovered, you can't rediscover it, but let's say there's 2 different people going, whoever gets it first gets the recognition, and we don't get the other person who was at the same time, not even knowing that this other person had the same thought, doesn't get the recognition because of this person did it first. But the person who also had the same mind, the same aptitude, the same knowledge, there should be some sort of recognition, right? I guess it's kind of more of an exposition on glory and where we put it, and who and how we seek it ourselves. And it was really profound. It kind of just left you being like, I can't believe that there was something like that in this book, because you just think that it's going to be this story, epic fantasy story, but there's so much in here. You have themes of class and racial prejudice, and you also have themes of toxic masculinity and how these things, they're not supposed to be this way, and you have your main characters who are different than everyone else, that are against the social norms, and they're trying to get they're trying to save the world, and in order to do that, they've got to get everyone else to see, like, this is how we were created and how we were supposed to be made, and this is the order of where we're supposed to be, and we haven't been doing that. What we're doing is wrong. And I really, really love that perspective, that you have these main characters who are willing to fight for what's right. To have someone who is truly honorable as a main character. And yes, they have flaws. Obviously, these aren't perfect characters, but someone who, when they seek vengeance, are not blinded by it, and can see logic and rationality, and can change or evolve emotionally, and see that maybe this person isn't who I presumed them to be, because they're just like everyone else, or because they look like everyone else. They have this station in life, so they must be evil because everybody else that I interacted with is evil. But no, like, you see these characters grow, and you see their perspectives change based on the actions of the characters, of the people in the book. That's how one of our side characters who was one of our main characters, I wouldn't say enemy, he hated him and detested him. He had no hope because of where they were, their station. They had no hope because they were being used as decoys for another High Prince's army. And as I'm going to say his name, as Kaladin is growing himself, this side character, he's seeing the leadership that he has, and the humility that he has, and how honorable he is, and the strength that he has to endure the suffering and the inflicting of those who have enslaved him. And this side character, he starts to have hope. He starts to see Kaladin as a leader, and that there can be a way out there, and to see that change, it shows that people can grow. And I feel like we lose that in society sometimes, our compassion towards one another and our rational thinking towards one another. And he displays this so much. It was a breath of fresh air. It was a breath of fresh air to see this in a story written so beautifully. And it's not even the end. Like, this is the first book out of 10. I know that the first 5 are kind of one story arc, and then the last 5 are supposed to be a sequel. But I mean, to have the beauty in the writing in the first one, and that's just the first one, I cannot wait to pick up Words of Radiance. It's going to have to wait a while because I have things on my TBR I need to get through. But the second I get these books finished, I'm picking up Words of Radiance, because this was beautiful. This is a masterpiece. This book is a masterpiece. You need to pick it up. If you haven't read it, please go read it now. If I had finished this before I did my tier ranking video, this would be at top number 1, and because it is, I can't say it enough, it's beautiful. It is a piece of art. Now, I know there's probably differing thoughts on some of the things that I've said, and I want you to be able to discuss them in the comments. So please, let me know how you liked it. What was your feeling after reading this story? Brandon Sanderson has thoroughly impressed me. This is the best writing I've read by him so far. You can tell the love that he put in here. And so in the comments below, tell me what your thoughts were when you read this, or what your thoughts are about reading it. I know that it's long, but it's worth it. It is worth reading. You're not going to regret, and you're going to fall in love with these characters, and you're not going to want to put it down. I'm going to make sure that I continue to read these at an appropriate pace. But, to let me know what your thoughts are. I hope that you enjoyed this review. I didn't really have much of a script, so this is just my reaction to this book. And, my mind right now is blown. I want to know, was your mind blown? I just want to have a conversation with someone about this book who's read it. Thank you for watching this reaction video, this review. Please like and subscribe to my channel. This is Johnny Reads, over and out.